Hello everyone, my name is Candace Lewis, and today I will be doing a presentation on politics and disgust, a deeper look into our brains. Politics? Disgust? What does politics have to do with disgust? Well, both politics and disgust are often linked to morals. Most individuals will tie their political alignment with their morals. The same with disgust, we often find ourselves feeling disgust when looking at or into things we deem as immoral. We don't immediately think to link the two together, as we often think of disgust in terms of food rather than our actions or emotions. So, what is disgust? To simply put it, disgust is a human emotion. It not only protects against pathogens, but it also contamination. We can think of this in other terms as food, waste, morality, behavior, disease, social norms, even. Although it's originally linked to things such as that, we also extend it to think of things such as social, moral, and symbolic domains, even sexual behavior such as purity or moral violations. Disgust isn't only something we put forth towards food or things that we can see, it's also things that we feel, because disgust is a huge emotion and it plays a factor into many parts of our life. It has both a biological root, which is pathogen avoidance, but also has a social, emotional, and moral extension, which we will see more of in terms of purity, norms, and social taboos. The bridge. Politics and disgust. Our emotions influence our moral and political affiliations. Our morals deem what we see as acceptable or even digestible. Disgust can be a moral emotion. Disgust, then in turn, is an influence of our view of both political and social views. Emotions, including disgust, influence moral and political judgments, oftentimes outside of our conscious deliberation. Disgust can even act as a moral emotion. It shapes judgments about what is morally acceptable or repugnant, which in turn it influences our political attitudes, especially on social issues. A lot of the social issues we see oftentimes align with political ideations or ideologies. The idea is that what disgusts people can map onto political cleavages, attitudes towards sexuality, immigration, purity, making disgust completely relevant to politics. Disgust sensitivity and political ideology. It was found in a study that higher levels of disgust are often linked to those that align with conservatism. Issues in regards to morality, marriage, sexuality, deportation, purity are often found to be markers for this emotion. This disgust sensitivity was modeled in adults throughout the US, showcasing how we often link disgust to topics that expand beyond food and disease. This is often measured in surveys asking about responses to distasteful stimuli, for example, bodily fluids, spoiled food, etc. But those that report stronger disgust reactions, they tend to lean more towards conservatism, at least on certain issues, which I talked about before and we'll go into more. Disgust changes political attitudes. Across several studies, it has been found that those that align with conservative ideology typically have higher levels of disgust, although, in one experiment, they asked conservatives to reevaluate their responses of disgust after watching a video of two men kissing. In the end, they did become more accepting and supportive after being asked to reevaluate those responses. So, political attitudes may stem from how strong the reaction is. As we can see from the experiment, when being asked to take a step back, the reactions and disgust levels had changed. Not all disgust is equal. Disgust sensitivity may depend on the context, type of disgust, and how it's measured. As we've said, we link disgust in terms of different things, whether it be morality or something as simple as food or waste. Disgust is not just one thing. Most research narratives state that conservatives are more disgusted than liberals. When taking in nonverbal measures rather than self-reporting, the disgust levels are shown differently even, stating the disgust more strongly than how they are actually reacting to it. So individuals will oftentimes over situate their disgust for something, when in reality their reactions in their body and everything else is completely different. Which leads to disgust in campaigns and messaging. Politics often uses emotion alongside logic to better play into individuals. They don't only want to play on logic, they want to play on your emotions. They want to draw out these feelings in you. Attacking certain issues, reframing stories, pointing at the opposite parties, and reframing their stance. These often focus on the emotions of those who are watching rather than providing logical information that can be discussed. Rather than a conversation, there is a reaction being worked towards. Although these motives can be combated when promoting reappraisal, asking individuals to be more reflective and less reactive. Think before you speak. Disgust, polarization, and outgroup dehumanization. Research shows individuals typically deem those who do not share their political ideology as disgusting, aka the outgroup. When we link disgust to a group identity, we make it into a repulsion rather than a disagreement. This can lead to increased distance and polarization of these groups. Emotional reactions can be linked to both the social and moral distance between these groups. So, oftentimes, we find individuals in different political groups finding absolute disgust for those who do not align with their beliefs, but that's typically because our beliefs, when it comes to political ideology, oftentimes we're just so close to our morality and all those beliefs and those things that we hold true and dear to our heart. So it is understandable that this emotion is drawn out when we see people doing something that we deem as immoral. However, that does not make it okay. Hence why in that study they were looking into other ways that this could be combated, as we do not want individuals to immediately hear of you and then think that's disgusting and do nothing about it, nor seek any more information regarding it. That is why emotional regulation, reappraisal, and its potential is so important. Emotional regulation strategies can reduce the influence disgust has on politics and morality. Some beliefs may not be set in place, they may just need to be reflected upon and reevaluated. Limits, nuances, and moral complexity. The role of disgust varies from person to person, stimulus, context, etc. Other emotions play a role in political and moral ideology. It's not just disgust. Conservative does not equal disgust, vice versa. Although the correlation can be seen throughout, it is not clear cut. Implications for civic life and democracy. By taking a look into this topic and recognizing the emotional influence of politics, it's easier to understand why facts alone are not enough to influence. Underlying emotions such as disgust could override all logic, hence why it is important to promote media literacy, reappraisal, and even empathy. We do not give our brains enough credit. So when looking into this, and when I say even empathy, I mean even something as simple as empathy isn't always brought into consideration. I think back to that one study in which I talked about individuals reacting disgusted to two men kissing. After being asked to go back on that, look through it, and think through those emotions again, they realign their beliefs completely. They step back and they're like, hold on, this isn't disgusting. I think that's because we put disgust and a lack of empathy right next to each other. When we find something disgusting, we hold no care for it at all. I understand when it's something that lacks life, such as vomit or waste or trash, that's disgusting. But when it comes to individuals practicing who they are freely, I don't believe that that's able to be cited as disgusting. Hence why we need to put more thought and we need to promote more positivity, literacy, and understanding, and overall just educating ourselves. It is very important to educate yourself about the world around you and not take things for face value. So, in conclusion, research shows that disgust plays a significant role in shaping our political and moral judgments. While in some it was found disgust can be reduced, others, such as Landy, show that people even perceive the opposite political parties as disgusting, overall showcasing the different ways in which disgust drives influence and beliefs. This topic relates to how we interact and perceive one another. This is something to be taken into account when diving into the field of education, as you encounter many individuals all from different paths of lives. I personally took interest in this topic as it dives into how emotions drive human behavior. It's not as simple as someone being raised a certain way. There are other contributing factors that take form. The most important thing I've taken away from this is that recognizing these influences can lead to change. But if we don't, what can be done? If we don't ask individuals to take more pride in educating themselves and to have more empathy for others and to have literacy, what can be done? Thank you for listening.